We are now moving on to the co-main event, which is going to be Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler, which is on the undercard of the main fight card of UFC 314. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes for the vacant featherweight title this Saturday. We're doing a live watch party for this fight card, so be there. Let's get right into today's video. Kicking us off, we're going to start with Michael Chandler here with 23 wins and 9 losses. His country is United States. Stands at 5 foot 8 inches tall, weighing 168 pounds in his last win, has a reach of 71.5 inches and a leg reach of 37.5 inches. While Paddy the Baddy Pimblett is 22 and 3. His country is England. He stands at 5 foot 10 inches tall, weighed at 170 pounds in his last win, has a reach of 73 inches and a leg reach of 40 inches. So what can we tell you based off of these stats already? Paddy has a 1.5 inch reach advantage, a 2.5 inch leg reach advantage. He also is 2 inches taller than Michael Chandler. Although the wins and losses are fairly close, Michael Chandler only having 2 wins in UFC compared to, I think he's had about 6 fights. He's only had 2 wins out of them, so 4 losses. Not great odds for Chandler here. Paddy, on the other hand, I do believe is on a 4 to 5 fight win streak, maybe 6. We'll see in a minute. But Paddy is submitting people, knocking them out, and Chandler is just knocking them out, or even having exciting fights. The thing about Chandler, even if he wins or loses, he's having very, very exciting fights, so which makes this fight very exciting. How do I think it goes? We'll get into that in a bit, but based off these stats, not much to really go off of here. Paddy does have the reach. It's a fairly close reach. The height goes in Paddy's favour and the leg reach is fairly close too. So nothing too significant to go off here. So let's move on to win buys to see how they've got it done in their previous fights. With Paddy having a 27% KO TKO, 45% submission, 27% decision with an average fight time sitting at 8 minutes and a knockdown average of 1. While Iron Michael Chandler here has 48% KO TKO, 30% submission, 22% decision with an average fight time sitting at 9 minutes and a knockdown average of 0. Now yes, I explained it in each video, although Michael Chandler does have an average of 0 because it's below 5, he still has some knockdowns in his previous fight. Paddy, again, also has a knockdown. Paddy in his last fight, I do believe he fought King Green, Bobby Green, and submitted him in the first round very, very quickly. Chandler previously fought Charles Oliveira, where it went the full bout. Charles nearly submitted him, and Michael Chandler looked to come very strong in the final round and looked very exciting. This is going to be an exciting fight. I personally don't know exactly how this fight's going to go, but all I know is Michael Chandler's involved. Obviously, I'm going to back Paddy because I'm an Englishman myself. I'm going to back Paddy. But Michael Chandler does make very exciting fights and could win this fight, but I think Paddy does get the better of it. But we'll move on to that in a minute. Let's move on to the last bit of win by stats before we go on to the other stats. We're going to start with Iron Michael Chandler here. He has, where's the stats? Okay. He has 11 wins by knockout, 7 wins by submission, 5 wins by decision, 4 losses by decision, 1 loss by submission and 4 losses by knockout. In Bellator, Michael Chandler has 18 wins and 5 losses. In UFC, he has 2 wins and 4 losses. That's 6 fights. And in Strikeforce, he has 2 wins, 0 losses. In okay, we don't really care about these stats for Strikeforce or Bellator, but in the UFC, he has 2 knockouts, 100%, which was against, who did he knock out? He knocked out Tony and I don't remember who else. Oh, he beat Dan Hooker, which was his first fight in the UFC. He beat Dan Hooker as his first fight in UFC in 2021. He lost to Charles Oliveira by knockout. Justin Gaethje lost to him by a decision. He front head kicked Tony Ferguson. He got rear naked choked by Dustin Poirier, and Charles Oliveira won by unanimous decision, but almost submitted him. Not too much to go for Chandler here, only 2 wins in his 6 fights in UFC. It's not a great look, especially if Chandler loses. It's one that's 7 fight losing. That's a 3 fight loss streak with only 2 wins in UFC. I said this on Instagram that I believe Chandler will do a lot better when he stops chasing Conor McGregor. When Chandler has the mindset of I want to be a champion instead of I want to fight McGregor, I get it. McGregor's big name. Honestly, he's a bit washed now because he hasn't fought in forever. I don't think McGregor returns ever to the UFC octagon. Obviously, he's still got like 1 to 2 fights on his contract. I don't think he takes them up, in my opinion. I don't think he has a point to do it. He doesn't have a goal. He doesn't have a mean to do it. So there's no chance that Conor returns. So I think Chandler should forget the whole I want to fight Conor McGregor. I want the big McGregor fight. I think he should go on the mindset of I want to be champion, and I think he will improve in his UFC game massively. Because realistically, everyone in this weight class, when they started in the UFC, was all like, I want to fight McGregor. That was realistically what it was, because they knew McGregor was the big fight, the money fight, but not anymore. So what can I really say about Chandler's stats? They're not great, and I think Paddy can submit him. I don't know if Paddy knocks him out, but I think Paddy can submit him. But a decision is also possible, but I think Chandler has a high percentage of winning by decision or knockout, but Paddy has a more high chance of winning by submission out of the three. Let's move on to Paddy Pimblett's stats right now. Okay, quickly moving us on to Paddy. He has 5 knockout wins, 11 submission wins, 6 decision wins, with 2 decision losses, 1 submission loss, and no knockout losses. He hasn't been knocked out. Like he said,
no one's knocking me out. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm a Scouser. We don't get knocked out.
In Cage Warriors, Paddy has 11 wins, 3 losses, and in the UFC he has 6 wins and 0 losses. While yes, he is on a 6-winning streak in the UFC, King Green, he beat him by a triangle choke. Tony Ferguson, he beat him by unanimous decision, which Tony Ferguson did already take on Michael Chandler, where Michael Chandler did knock him out of a head kick. Jared Gordon won that one by unanimous decision. Again, that is a very controversial win. Jordan Levitt, he beat him by rear naked choke. Rodrigo Vargas beat him by rear naked choke. Luigi Venturamini, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, beat him by knockout. David Martinez beat him by rear naked choke, and Decky Dalton, he beat him by knockout. So most of Paddy's wins are coming by rear naked choke, and also here most of his wins are by submission and some are by decision, and he's got 1 knockout win. So stats for Paddy. How do I think this fight goes for Paddy? It's clear. Most of his fights are either decisions or knockouts, and he has more knockouts than anything. I still think Chandler has the chance of outputting better and performing better than Paddy, which could lead him to win or by decision. But I think Paddy will dominate when it comes to the grappling, which makes me believe Paddy will submit him. And I think Paddy does submit him. Of course, I want to back Paddy because Paddy's an Englishman. But who do I truly think is going to win without being biased or anything like that? I still think Paddy wins by a submission. If Paddy doesn't win by a submission, Chandler will win either by a decision or by a knockout. I think Paddy can knock him out, but I don't think Chandler knocks him out, so I think it will be a decision. I think it'll be a tough fight for Chandler. I think he can knock him out, but I don't think he will. Let's move on to the last bit of stats before we finish the video off. Okay, let's see how each other outperformed each other in their previous fights. So Paddy Pimblett had an average of 5 punches landed per minute, a 53% significant strikes percentage, an average of 4 punches absorbed per minute with a defense of 40%. While Michael Chandler here, 4 punches landed per minute, 50% significant strikes, an average of 4 punches absorbed per minute with a defense of 43%. Quickly running us down here, landed per minute went into Paddy's favor, significant strikes, Paddy absorbing, Paddy absorbed less, and defense goes in Chandler's favor. Remember, Paddy's fight did not go the full bout, and most of Chandler's fight was in the grappling. Chandler was stuck in the grappling against Charles Oliveira, which he struggled against. This is probably not all of it, but 90. Okay, I shouldn't do maths. Most of these stats here for Chandler were in the final round, the 4th round, I think it was 4th. I don't think it went 5. In the 4th round, this is Chandler's stats basically because he did very well on the feet and could have possibly knocked out Oliveira, but didn't get that chance to because Oliveira was very smart and tactical and got him down. Paddy, on the other hand, had a very, very quick fight against King Green, where he submitted him quite early. So these stats for Paddy is still pretty impressive for being such a short amount of time. Basically, he landed nearly every single punch and got his win there. Moving us on to the grappling, which is probably the most important stat here because they both were in the grappling, stuck in the grappling in their previous fights. Well, Michael Chandler was stuck. Paddy forced it to happen and got the win there. Well, actually, it was King Green that tried to take him down and then got submitted from it. Michael Chandler had an average of 2 takedowns, 37% takedown accuracy, 36% takedown defense with a submission average of 1. While Paddy Pimblett, on the other hand, had an average of 1 takedown, 25% takedown accuracy, a 52% takedown defense with a submission average of 2. Running us down these stats, Chandler had the better takedown average, better takedown accuracy, better takedown defense with a worse submission average, which basically off of their full fight. Of course, Paddy didn't look as great because his fight didn't last as long. Chandler, I'm still surprised with all these stats. I'm shocked that he did even try and take down Charles. Not that he tried to, that he actually did. Because why would you grapple with someone who is a grappler? It's like in this fight, Chandler should do everything in his power to stay on the feet. Do not go into the grappling with Paddy. What's the point? He has no point to grapple with Paddy. He doesn't need to. He shouldn't. He should avoid it. Paddy, on the other hand, shouldn't, I wouldn't say avoid the striking, because you're going to need to strike to gain some dominance so that you can gain some scores on the scorecards, well, get points on the scorecards so that you can win the fight if it goes to a decision. You've got to have some output. But Chandler needs to avoid the grappling, because if he goes down, I feel Paddy will dominate the fight. And a lot of these fights, we don't know how each other compares to each other's stats. Yes, stats are great. Stats never lie. But it doesn't matter how good they look on the stats. In the fight, they could look 10 times worse. But we'll have to wait and see. And I'm very excited for it. So how do I think this fight plays out? I think it is going to be a tough fight for Chandler. I think Chandler's going to do some simple mistakes and he's going to get taken down. Or maybe even he gets a takedown. But I think he does get submitted if he is to get submitted. If not, either Paddy does dominate on the ground and gets a win by decision there, or Chandler does get a decision win on the feet. Doesn't mean Chandler can't get a knockout, but Paddy hasn't been knocked out, so the chances are lower for that. But I don't think Paddy gets knocked out. But that's just my thoughts, my opinions, and my predictions roughly. What do you guys think? Who do you think wins and how do you think they win? Apart from that, I'll catch you in a bit. Take care and peace.